All right, guys, we get to do a comparison today of the 2025 all-new refreshed Yukon XL versus the outgoing 2024 Yukon XL. And what's neat is GMC has added a new trim package for 2025. It's called the Elevation. They've been offering this in other vehicles like the Sierra and the Canyon. They've now brought this to the Yukon, which is nice. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's almost like an SLT from 2024, and then they kind of raised the bar a little bit for like the SLT. So let's get into this. The biggest difference, honestly, in my opinion, it's two things really. It's your exterior fascia, front and rear, and the interior difference. You kind of see the different profiles. I love the look of the new front end. You can kind of see how they added like the new Sierra EV. Some of those lines kind of carried over from the Sierra to the Yukon. I also like the blacked out badging. The GMC kind of modernizes it. I mean, but there are some carryovers. It's obviously similar. It's just updated. You can still see LED reflector headlights, 3-beam LED reflector headlights. They did change from like the vertical fog light down below to a projector style of one down below. If we look underneath, there it looks like the spoiler designs in the rear fascia look very similar. Both still have front-facing cams. This one does not have the washer on the front, and the 24 doesn't either. Now, when we compare the hoods, they look identical. When I look at the mirrors, they look similar. Let's go down the sides now, and let's just kind of compare simple things. We notice our side markers are a little different. The fenders look the same. The difference is this is a little bit more bold of the side marker. We look at the cladding down the side, kind of going down the side, looks pretty similar running boards as well. The handles on the side are the same. How about the mirrors? Mirrors look the same. And actually, if we look at the cameras are a little bit different shape as far as how they kind of designed the side contour. You can kind of see a little bit different shape there. Side markers are the same. Continue down the back. Looks like the side cladding, the trim that goes along the windows, yeah, that looks the same as well. I'm not noticing any differences there. We step to the rear. This is where you start seeing a bigger difference in the rear cladding. You can kind of see the shape of the LEDs is shaped a little bit differently. I'm not sure if you can see this. These are still LED in the rear, like the prior model year. I like that they went away from the chrome up here to just the simple GMC black badging here. I also like this has the windshield or the rear camera cleaner on the rear as well. Kind of see the cladding down below. And this is where you see a little bit different chrome versus the outgoing fascia. The amber lights are a little different shape in the rear. Otherwise, very, very similar. And then you still have the same kind of spoiler around the rear as well. Let's see what the 24 interior looks like. We'll look at that first. We open the door. This has got the lighter interior colors, but soft trim paneling along the sides. Looks nice. Got the Bose speakers. Nice seating, nice entry guards here. Just some nice basic leather seats, but very nice. We get inside. Let's see what the startup sequence looks like. Really nice. This just has the alert. Not a full heads-up display on this SLT model, but you can still see soft touch dash. It's got a decent, I'm going to say 8 to 11 inch range display right there. You got your HVAC controls. I really like this that GM has kept this, and you got a little cubby hole right here, which is kind of cool. It's actually deep too. Wow, I guess you could put like sunglasses in there. That's nice. But I like that GM has kept buttons down below instead of just forcing people to go to just a main display. And we'll see a little bit of a difference with the 25 model year. Nice comfortable center console here, USB A and C, magnetic charging, USB A and C, 12 volt, got one glove box, and just a nice interior. Let's see, no sunglass holder up here, but we got our lift gate and rear view mirror. This one doesn't have the universal home link up, but it does have it right here. Second row, we'll kind of check out here in a second. A very comfortable, nice interior. This one has the 24. The 24 has 4 different drive modes. If we see, we've got tow haul, off-road, sport, and normal. So you got 4 different modes. You've got auto transfer case, 4 high, 2 high, and then like a hill descent control. You got our lane keeping, auto start. You can take off. I'm not sure what this is. I think this is like 360 cameras. I got to play around with that button to see what that is. Yep, it is actually. And then you can turn off your start stop. Here's your backup cameras, and kind of see, got it in reverse now. Can see the guidance lines moving. Very good resolution. I mean, check out the leafs. You can see this has got the same controls, the transmission controls they've had for a while. I think they make sense. They work for me. Nice gauges. This is where I think GM has done a really good job with their gauge clusters. You can change all of this stuff to see what you want to show. I like how it shows brake pad life. You don't see that much. Air filter life, that's kind of cool. You can go in and change all of your different settings, and there's a bunch of different things you can add as well. Very cool. This just has your simple, I think this was the Google operating system, but this is a decent system. Seems to work fairly decent, not noticing too much of a lag. Got your audio controls, and then we got our home controls. Now let's check out the second row of the 24. So here's the second row. We got decent storage in the side of the cup holders, soft padding here. Nice seats. You can fold. This is kind of nice. Let's see, how does this work again? There we go, folds down, and then you can get into your third row. This is a really cool feature, especially if you have older kids and you don't have car seats. I think this is a pretty nice setup if you've got older kids. Obviously that function doesn't work real well if you have car seats in, but this one also has the screens built into the headrest, which is nice. Got your HVAC controls, HDMI, USB-A, heating controls, and then there is your third row. And this has the USB-A, you can see, with some cup holders, and just a pretty nice setup. You can see your HVAC controls in the ceiling, and you've got LED lights. Very nice. Let's check out the cargo of the 24. Nice entry here. Got some good storage down below. Really nice storage, actually. You can see this has the, let's see, we got second and third row. Very nice. I like that you've got both that you can put down there. And just a really nice entry. Yeah, not bad. You can put a divider for some privacy here. And you've got your seatbelt hangers and some clothes hangers up there as well. Looks good. Let's pop the hood of the 24 and we'll compare it to the 25 and see if we notice any differences. Pop the hood of the 25 now. All right, let's see if we notice any difference. I don't think there will be anything. They're both the 5.3 liter. I think this is a Gen 4, Gen 5 V8. Very simple, been around for a long time, but for the most part, a pretty solid engine. Got the insulation on the hood. Let's check out and see how this compares to the 24. I've noticed the intake's in the same location. Right here, you've got your air box here, junction boxes, coolant's in the same spot, fill oil, the same spot, batteries in the same location. I'm not seeing anything different, guys. It looks like the same intake design. Let's see if we can see any different braking system. Looks like some sort of hydraulic boosted. Let's see what we got here. Nope, looks identical. Not seeing anything that sticks out. Both have the hood struts. All right, now let's jump in to the interior on the 25. This is where we're gonna see a pretty big difference. This vehicle has not been prepped quite yet, and unfortunately the roads have been kind of nasty, so a little bit dirty at the moment, but we notice a much more modernized side profile of the doors. I think this trim, for an Elevation interior, not a Denali, not an SLT, this is a pretty high value vehicle. You can see it's got a lot of nice feeling. It looks a little more premium. Same Bose speakers, but this just all looks more modernized. Seating controls look identical, and the seats actually look very similar. I don't notice any difference in the bolstering, just a little bit nicer stitching and stuff that goes along the side. Let's check out. We can see, first thing we notice is the engine control. Start it up. See what the sequence looks like. You You will notice right off the bat, this interior looks completely different. This is a much, much larger display. They've went away from the actual physical buttons to just, from what I can see, just HVAC controls and your audio controls. Everything is right here. This is still the Google operating system. Very nice. Feels pretty decent. Works pretty quickly. I'm not noticing anything there. Let's see, how's your heating controls work? There's your HVAC controls. Everything is the touch screen now. So this looks nice. I just prefer more old school actual buttons. What do we got? So you still do have some buttons here. You got your fan buttons here, temperature, and yeah, so this is nice. They did still give you features for buttons down below. And you've got your audio controls that are still physical. I like that. Defrost. Now let's see if we go over to the controls over here. Now let's see, we still got our modes. We still got auto transfer case, 2 high. And notice here we got 4 low. I like that they added 4 low back and 4 high. We got our window controls. This has the brake controller built in, which is nice. We've got the lane keeping, auto start, electronic parking brake, and then we've got some other features as far as 360 cams. Let's check out the drive modes now and see how this looks. So now the drive modes are displayed on the right. So we've got normal, we've got sport, we've got off-road, and we've got tow haul. So they changed the menu from here over to here. This looks awesome right here. This is a really sharp looking setup. And you notice your controls in the steering wheel look a lot different. Also, the steering wheel feels a little girthier. I don't mind this. It feels nice. Similar type of material, but it feels a little bit better in the hands. And I also like the look of these controls. I think they look a little sharper. Let's look at the gauge cluster here, and let's just see how we can play around and see what this different features kind of look like. Here's your just different dash options and layouts. Looks really nice. I think this is a huge upgrade, and I like that you can put the maps in the background. Very cool. I kind of like the more traditional route here. But so now let's look at the dash and the layout. Soft touch everywhere. Here's pretty cool storage above. That was a great idea. This is all soft touch. We notice we have heads up display. It might be kind of hard to see in the camera, but we do have heads up display. No storage for sunglasses there. We do still have your cup holders with the USB-A and C and magnetic charging. Very similar center console. It doesn't go as deep, but I do believe, I don't know if this one moves. I think there's storage down below. That's why you can't go fully. Let me see how this works. I think this whole thing slides, but I got to figure that out. Still got the glove box over here. I just think the interior of this thing looks so much more modern and premium. I like that. You got some storage in the side as well. HVAC controls here. No, it looks really nice. And we got a really nice panoramic sunroof. Let's check out the second row now. Notice the second row, very similar. Take the same soft touch, the same type of trim, bezels, kind of follows through. This looks very similar to 24. I don't notice any different. Controls to get into the third row. This still pops up to get in the third row. I love that. Very good feature. This also has these fancy rear displays, which are kind of cool. You can turn them on and off. You got YouTube Kids. You can connect with your HDMI. These have heated seats, USB-A, and your just different HVAC controls. And then here's your third row. You can still see you've got charging cup holders. I don't see much difference has changed as far as in the third row or second row versus the 24. You got similar LED lighting in the top. HVAC controls, looks really nice. No issues there. See if we notice anything different here. Looks like the seating controls are still the same. Yep, still the same. How about we got storage down below? Still same storage. Still same privacy area you can put up. This looks nice. Nice transition from the third row. Huge storage in these things. Curious if we notice anything different in the exhaust. Still got a resonator there that goes into a full muffler. Independent rear suspension, full-size spare. Let's compare that to the 24. Same resonator, same full-size spare, similar independent rear suspension. Now this 24 is running the Bridgestone Valenzas, and these are 275, 50, 22. Looking at the brakes, I don't notice anything different. Look at the front, looks like a 4-piston caliper. We'll kind of compare that to the 25, seeing if there's any changes. This one is running a 20-inch wheel, it looks like, though. This is a 20-inch, 275, 60, 20, versus the 22 on this package for the SLT for the 24 model year. Brake system looks identical, though. Upper control arms, I don't know anything different. We'll just compare one last check of the rear brakes. Not seeing anything different there as well. Here's something I want to look at. How do the payloads compare? 1,579 pounds for the 25 Elevation. Now, if I had to guess, I think this is going to have a little bit higher payload from the simple fact it doesn't have a sunroof. Let's compare. That's right, 1,708 pounds. That'd be about what I would guess too. So 1,708 pounds versus what, 1,579, so about 130 pounds difference. Let's go over the window stickers now. So you get a 2024 Yukon XL. This is Summit White with the 5.3 Ecotech V8 10-speed auto. This has got the 22-inch multi-spoke wheels for $29.95, SLT luxury package, which gets you the HD surround vision, heated second row outboard seats. This has got second row bucket seats for a grand total $80,785. Fuel economy, 15 city, 18 highway, 16 combined. Here's something, guys, I really appreciate that GM offers, and I'm noticing a lot of manufacturers are not. Check out where it shows parts content information. Educate yourself on this. You're in the market wanting to buy something. This shows 37% US Canadian parts, 36% major sources of foreign parts content, Mexico. Final assembly, Arlington, Texas, United States. I appreciate they show that. Now let's see what the 25 window sticker for comparison. Saw the price on that. So we have a Summit White Ecotech V8. This has got the jet black interior. This is an Elevation package. This is the premium Elevation, gets the sunroof, dual pane, panoramic. It's got the rear seat media system, heated and ventilated front seats, rear camera mirror, very cool. Max trailering package, I like that it gets you the 2-speed transfer case. Illuminated front black GMC emblem, second row bucket seats, for a grand total $81,420. If we look and you can see the parts content information, very similar, 37% US Canada, 37% Mexico, obviously made in Arlington. When we get into fuel economy, we notice a little difference here. The average mixed is the same, 16 miles per gallon, but the city is 1 mile per gallon worse, but the highway is 1 mile per gallon better. So for me, I'd prefer this because I drive mostly highway and rural, so this would be better for me. So to get into checking gauges and everything, this is a super premium thing. I've noticed that, and I don't know if I call it premium, but I just think it's kind of fancy. You can kind of check, look at your oil life, scroll, and you can just see different things. This is kind of neat. Not everybody's into this stuff, but I think it's kind of cool. It kind of shows you all this different stuff right here. Pretty fancy. Is it necessary? No, but it is kind of cool. Go back to maintenance. Let's see other gauges here. Go back to gauges. Kind of see our transmission temps, oil temps, coolant temps, everything you want to see when you're towing or pushing your vehicle. We're going to reset our trip information today, and we're going to add to trip driver display, and we're going to reset trip 1, and we're going to fuel economy. We're going to add to driver's display. Actually, I don't know if I want to do that actually. Reset best score, reset, go back here. I don't think we can add both. So you can kind of see that is added. All right, now we are going to reset our fuel economy for this loop. And let's go see what we think of the 24 versus the 25 Yukon XL. I don't expect a huge difference, simply on the fact that these are the exact same powertrains, transmission, engine, and the same platform, same wheelbase. But it will be interesting to see if there's any little nuances. So first thing we notice is the sound of that V8. It sounds good. It's one of the things I really enjoy about GM's full-size SUVs versus the Ford and the Ford Expedition, even the Toyota Sequoia, or even actually the Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer. Everybody's got 6-cylinder turbos now. GM is the last full-size SUV with a V8. So getting up to speed, I'll be curious to see how the acceleration feels in the V8. Looks like we're hitting about 2,500 RPMs, trying to get to 70 miles per hour. coming up to 2,800 RPMs. All right, we hit 70 miles per hour. Set the cruise now. So this has adaptive cruise and it's got the lane assist. I don't believe this has the lane centering. No, it's just like the lane keeping system. But it is nice that even, and this is a change for 2025, which I think is awesome. They're taking a chapter out of Toyota's book that some of these features are now standard, even at the lowest trim levels of the Yukon. But you can see a big difference in the interior on the 24 as far as the info stack area and the gauge cluster. I don't mind this setup, but the 25 definitely looks more modernized. I will say I personally like these transmission controls a lot better than the stock, I'll call it, the transmission stock controls. These make more sense to me, but it's still not bad. This is a really comfortable, nice driving vehicle. So people say you can't get fuel economy in a V8. I beg to differ. We are at 70 miles an hour cruise, and look at this, guys, 22, 24, 25 miles per gallon. That's incredible. A big SUV like this, that's better than you would see on an EcoBoost. Kind of see your RPMs going down the road at these speeds, about 1,500 RPMs at 70 miles an hour. I'm gonna focus on this fuel economy. That's really good, guys. I have to say that's impressive. So we're getting off here on the highway part of the loop and just noticing a few takeaways. The comfort of this vehicle, it's really nice, I have to say. I think GM really did a great job when they refreshed and went to this new platform where they went independent rear suspension. It really took this to the next level as far as making it a quality vehicle. And the thing that I've noticed in the past few years with GM is their interiors. You know, I always thought GM made a pretty solid vehicle and they were always known for reliable powertrains, but it was always typically like the interior and the styling that just kind of struggled. I think they've answered that. And the 25, they really did a great job on the interior. But even this being the 24 model year, I think the interior is really nice and comfortable. I feel really happy to take something like this on a long drive, on a long road trip. This would be a really comfortable driver. The other thing I've noticed on this is coming from the Navigator is, you know, that has independent suspension as well. I've noticed this in the Escalade, and the Yukon has the same mannerisms. This has a more composed suspension going down the road. This has less of like that lazy boy feel that you get in the Navigator, and this feels like a little bit sportier, which I can appreciate. I don't mind the feel of the lazy boy feeling and driving of the Navigator, but it's sometimes nice having a little bit more composed, sporty suspension. The other thing, it's really hard to not love the sound of the V8. It's awesome. I would love to do a comparison of the 5.3 versus the 6.2 back to back. I'm a big fan of the 6.2. I think it's power-wise, it's a lot stronger than the 5.3, but this isn't bad. I'm used to a little quieter, more low-end torque, but I don't get the good sound of the V8, and these things I feel a little stronger at the higher RPM than the EcoBoost or the V6 turbo engines. Let's see what we got for fuel economy. 19.5 miles per gallon, not bad. Let's see now how this 25 compares driving down the road with the more modern, nicer interior and technology versus the 24 doing our same fuel economy loop the same day. We're gonna set, both vehicles have been warmed up, and we're gonna drive them the same way, same day, same time, and see how they compare. So let's do our trip now. And this is the one thing you gotta get used to right off the bat are these transmission controls. They're a lot different, and I've driven so many of these new GMC and Buicks that I'm kind of used to the transmission stock. And initially I was kind of like annoyed. It felt like you're trying to kind of recreate the wheel, but now I'm kind of used to it. It doesn't bother me, and I get why they did it, because I think once you get used to it, you're gonna appreciate that the space on the dash is not used up for buttons for the transmission, and you don't have a old school looking column shifter. The first thing I notice is this really nice heads-up display. It's nice and bright. Now, one of my complaints I've had about other heads-up displays in the past is when you wear polarized sunglasses, they don't work well. I'm not wearing polarized sunglasses today, so I can't speak to how well it works, but this is a lot larger, and brighter than I can recall the older heads-up displays, so I'm kind of glad to see this. And I just love the look of this new interior. It looks so upscale compared to the older ones. The V8 obviously sounds as good as the 24 outgoing model, but this updated gauge cluster looks awesome. This is one of the nicest gauge clusters in its class, in my opinion. We have the start-stop engaged. Right now the engine is off, so I'm curious to see how smooth this feels. Very smooth. The thing I look for when start-stop engages, I look to see how does it shake the vehicle. How much perceived NVH do you feel with when the engine engages? This one is really smooth. They did a great job on it. I don't notice any issues there. So I get annoyed, like especially some of like in Europe, the diesel start-stop vehicles, when the engine kicks on and off, man, it shakes the whole vehicle. It's just kind of annoying. First world problems, and try to get you better fuel economy. But I think if you're gonna do it, you might as well really refine it where it's not even noticeable when the engine kicks on and off. So accelerating onto the highway, I don't think we're gonna notice any difference as far as performance today between the two vehicles, because the powertrain numbers are not any different. Fuel economy is not really any different. Transmission's not any different. The vehicle weights are very similar. I don't think we're gonna notice much difference. We're about up to speed here in a second, but it's a smooth cruiser. I think the 5.3 is a very adequate powertrain for 90+% of the people. The people that would appreciate a 6.2 or the 3-liter diesel are people that do more highway or towing. I think that's where you really see the advantage to those motors. And also, I think another point to add, I think it's really cool that GM allows you to get the 3-liter diesel in an Elevation trim package. I think it's about a $5,000 premium, I'll confirm. I'm a huge fan of GM's 3-liter diesel. In my opinion, it's my favorite of the engines available in their light-duty vehicles today. But that's a really nice feature that GM offers. And in fact, on the Elevation trim package, you can't even get a 6.2. You can either get the 5.3 or the 3-liter diesel. Check our fuel economy in the exact same spot as we checked the 24. We're not drafting, obviously, so it'll be really interesting to see at 70 miles an hour what we get. Here we go, 70 miles an hour. Look at this, this is insane. We're getting 28 miles per gallon, 27, 70 miles an hour, 25, 27. We're going uphill, slight incline now, but that's incredible, guys. This is proof when people think you gotta get an EcoBoost or a 6-cylinder to get the fuel economy on the highway. It's not true. On the highway, these GM's V8s get really great fuel economy. Somehow, they've just managed to make these things super efficient on the highway. As far as comfort going down the road, the thing I would notice is, I think the ergonomics in the interior of this vehicle, I don't know if it's the seating position changed just a little bit, or the center console, I can't explain it, but I feel like that's a tad bit more comfortable. And I like the steering wheel, I like the gauge layout. It just feels like a little bit more refined and more comfortable driving experience than the 24. Another thing I've noticed are the turn signal and your windshield wiper controls have changed a little bit from 24 to 25. We're getting off the highway loop right now. But you got to get used to these controls. It kind of requires a little bit more hand dexterity, I guess you'd call it, to use them. But I get why they did that, so they could free up this control for the transmission stock. But otherwise, I think the highway experience is, suspension-wise, I'm not noticing any different. I think it's a very composed suspension. I do think that it actually rides. I like the ride and comfort of this a little bit more than the Expedition. I have not driven the new 25 Expedition. We will be doing a review on that here at some point. A bit of a more of a refresh than this. This was just a slight refresh. That's kind of like a bigger refresh. It'll be interesting to kind of compare that versus this for just kind of comfort and everything going down the road. I think GM did a pretty decent job on the independent suspension on this platform. It rides a lot better than the prior generation. Transmission shifting feels very similar between the two. It's very smooth. This is a great shifting 10-speed transmission. I've noticed this with other vehicles, and I've mentioned this. I feel that the V8 10-speeds seem to shift better than the boosted 10-speeds. I don't know how to explain it. It's probably something to do with how when you're boosting the engine, the power, it's just really hard to make it as smooth in between the shifts. But the Ford Coyote 5.0 10-speed and this with the V8, they both shift really smooth. All right, there we have it, 18.4 miles per gallon in this with the 25. I'm gonna show you how the reverse works. So the reverse works, you pull up on the stalk. We'll look at the rear view camera here. It's got a really good resolution. I don't think it's any worse, and it might be better because the screen is bigger. So it looks good. I mean, this is a really great camera system. It's really cool to see, and then to put it back in park, you just press that button, transmissions in park. It's really cool to see how much nicer backup cameras have gotten. They've just improved so much. Now, I just want to show you some of the different features you've got. I've been playing around with this. You just got your different vehicle status, kind of look into your different menus, add universal remotes. You can change your heads-up display information. Here's just the different settings. You can kind of go and create different profiles, updates. Mapping system looks awesome. Here's your audio controls, and then obviously just your standard maps, HVAC controls. This is really nice. There's no question about this. This is a really nice vehicle. So when we talked about why the storage is less, hit this button right here, and this is why. So you lose that storage, but you have this super cool entertainment area for people in the second row. And elbow, it's still comfortable to sit your elbow, and then you can put more stuff in here. Obviously, you want to make sure when you close it, nothing gets smashed. But that's a cool feature that was really only available before in more of the premium trims for the Yukon. This is your rear camera setup and your mirror. Both the remotes look the same from 24 to 25. Nothing different there. Yep, all the same function. Everything's the same on that. They look the same, but the difference is, got this cool like sweeping amber. I like that. That looks really neat. Now we lock it, and I think it gives you the, there you go. Now let's try the 24. Lock it, just kind of the standard. It's just a little fancier. Is it necessary? No, but it looks cool. Just one more glance, just kind of comparing the bolstering and the seating. See there's 4 different pads on the back and 2 on the rear. Just want to kind of compare this back to the 24 now. You can kind of see similar amount of padding. Lumbar looks the same. All the design looks the same. It's just, I don't know. I don't notice any real differences in the seating, but it did feel more comfortable in the 25. And then this one doesn't have the center console that moves back. All right, so what's my takeaway? Personally, I think it's kind of a no-brainer to get the 25. At the time of doing this video, there's not real huge discounts or incentives on the 24 versus the 25. MSRPs are pretty similar. Once we see the Elevation package on the 25, I think this is like a real high value SUV. I think it's really gonna kick some butt and take some market share when you compare it to the Expedition. I personally think this interior looks a lot nicer from the pictures I've seen of the 25 Expedition. The 5.3 motor is, for the most part, pretty tried and true. 10-speed trans works pretty well in these. Fuel economy, was there a little bit of a difference? I contribute that to a little bit different. This is a real world driving condition, and we had about 3 more stop signs we hit on the 25. So considering there's only a mile per gallon difference, I think if you did it again in different circumstances, we'd probably see very similar results. So I'd kind of call that a moot point. But for the money and just the refreshed interior with some of the cool new technology in the display, I think it looks awesome. And I would go the 25 if it was me. I think GM really hit a home run on this refresh. It's nothing crazy, but it's enough to make you appreciate the new interior. This Elevation package is a nice high value. They're not cheap, as you can imagine, $81,000. This is still not a cheap SUV by any means, but considering the fact that this is a lower trim level and you still have leather with heated and ventilated seats, you've got the max trailer towing package, you've got the headrest displays, panoramic sunroof. Man, I can't imagine needing more capability in a vehicle than what this thing offers. This is a really nice vehicle. Hey guys, I hope you enjoy this video, the 24 versus the 25 Yukon. Once we get some higher trim level 25s in, we'll do a comparison of the AT4 Ultimate and the Denali Ultimate in the future. Thanks for watching.